Hello guys, this is Feeding Frenzy 91 and I'm bringing you State of Decay gameplay because I'm doing a review on State of Decay. Now, I'm going to do it on story, gameplay, and then I'm going to say the first I'm going to start on the benefits and then the bad things about them, and then I'm going to go with an ending conclusion about what I think about the game. And the reason I'm not doing, because I usually do, what I like to do is graphics and multiplayer with my review, but I'm not going to do that this time because graphics and multiplayer aren't really a factor in this game, because obviously the graphics look like GTA 4 basically, maybe a little bit worse. But it is an indie company, and there's no multiplayer, so there's nothing really to talk about that. All right, story. State of Decay starts you out with a main character. Now, the thing about State of Decay is that even though you start out with this main character, you're given a little thing about him. When you get to find another character, Maya, you're able to switch to her. And then when you get to the group, you're able to switch after you find other group members, you're able to switch to them. And when you become friends with other people, you're able to switch to them too. So that it is not heavy on the story of the actual person that you play as. Now, the story is heavy on the group itself. It's a very nice storyline and how you find survivors, and also there are plenty of side missions that are great too. And some of the side missions feel better than the real missions, and some of them also affect the main story. Like sometimes you have side groups that affect the main story, which is pretty good. And let though the storyline itself though suffers from the fact I believe, but I'll just talk about the benefits for now. The storyline is a decent storyline, especially for an indie company. You get survivors. You have to scavenge food, gas, building materials, medicine, and what's the fifth one? There's a fifth one, Dread. Anyway, school, gas, building materials, medicine, and ah, it is ammo for weapons, of course. And I like how you have to what I like about this game is that if you go to a construction site, you'll find, like, you go to a fast food restaurant, you'll find food. You go to a construction site, you most likely find building materials. You go to a gas station, you find gas. It's not like those games where you just scavenge anywhere and find anything. So it's pretty good that they actually keep you find stuff at the buildings that they would most likely be. Anyway, but the missions in itself are pretty good. They are variety, a different variety of missions. It's not just all go this, do the same thing. Other than killing zombies, but even that's different. Like some missions are distracting zombies, not killing them. They're like plant something there so you can go and hurry up get something or something like that, or you can help a friend by distracting them. And they're very good with that. Most of the missions are very fun, and interacting with the different characters are greatness. No lie. And let's go on to gameplay then. Gameplay is fun. It's basic but fun. And what I love about the gameplay is that they have a very variety of melee and um, range weapons. The gameplay, like, they have so much, and they have lead pipes, old like bats, sticks, cricket bats. They have swords, machetes, and they have like different like they have the rusty blades, the good blades, the imitation blades. They have like all these different type of weapons. And then they have with the guns, they have not just like pistol, shotgun, blah blah. They have like A12s. They have the pump action shotguns. They have the Glocks. The They have the 9 millimeters. So they have a different variety. They have the magnums, and it's a very good variety of weapons. And I love how this gameplay plays out because, like, all right, your character can die. Any of your friends can also die. So that causes, other than like Lily, I think Lily's the only one who can't die. And with that character causes the fact that your character dies causes you to play this game differently. You play it very cautiously. You don't just run and gun and like go back to the save point. And it's not like you can. There's no save points. It automatically saves. When your character dies, it's gone. And though it caused me a lot of times to turn the game off when I thought my character was going to die because I didn't want to lose him. Because honestly, you level these guys up in almost. There's so much different leveling up for these guys. Like there's fighting, shooting, driving, just collecting resources, wits. There's like leadership. There's like just so much different levels of leveling up for these guys that when you don't want to lose one of them at a certain point in time. I actually started my game over twice because I lost my characters. But if you do play this game and you're about to die, There is a solution. Turn the game off. Do not make the mistake of exiting the game. I did that once. I exited my game and I was like, all right, good. But the problem is when you exit the game, even if you're about to die and you didn't die yet, they're like, oh well, that's cheating. So they still have you as dead when you log back in. But if you turn the Xbox off or the computer off, then the game doesn't record you dying. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I found it worked multiple times for me. And so also with the gameplay, I really liked how the missions, even though some of them do feel repetitive, I really liked how they were different enough that they were that they still were fun to play constantly. I also like this different how the sideline missions, and I also like how you can't simply like go from story like people who like to rush through stories. This game isn't for you because what you have to do is in between missions you have to like scavenge. You have to keep the group safe basically. Other than that, your group's gonna die. Anyway, so let's go with the bad things because this game does have a number of problems. Let's start with the story. The story, though decent, feels shallow at times, especially with the voice acting, and also with the relationships. The problem with voice acting is that sometimes you'll tell a character something bad and they'll respond in like a monotone. Like one time I told Lily, who's like one of the main characters of the game, that her dad died, and she kind of responded like, "Okay, thanks for telling me." Like pretty monotoned, like not really, kind of like in a not caring perspective. Not fully there, but at the same time not. At the same time, I expected more of a reaction. Anyway, also with the relationships, the game suffers from the same thing that makes it great. It's great that you can switch between a lot of different characters. It's great that all your characters can die. The problem with that is because that can happen, you can't give any of your characters a proper story. You can't like focus on Marcus's story because if Marcus dies, then that would suck. If he has this great big story and then he dies and then all of a sudden it's like, oh okay, well that not gonna happen. And then you can't, and so because so basically any character you are will get the same storyline no matter what. So that's how the story suffers. The storyline also suffers from it just certain side stories feel incomplete. Like this, I'm at the Wilkerson's base in this gameplay video. Their story feels the most incomplete. Basically, you help them out, though you realize they're bad guys, and then at one point they kill a bunch of people, right? And that's the end of the story. You don't question them about it. You don't get to go and like tell them to stay away from you. They basically kill the people. Either they kill the people or you tell the people not to do the deal with them. Other than that, there's nothing else to do with them. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the end of the story? I was so waiting for them to be like a confrontation. There was nothing. So certain parts of it just feel unfinished. Or I don't know why, but they would do that, but perhaps there's a reason. Alright, let's go with gameplay. Gameplay really the problem with the gameplay, it is a bit basic, but it is still fun. But at the same time, like you do sometimes feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Like with scavenging, especially, you search a house, you find some stuff, you call a runner, you get back to base. You search a house, you do it again. You keep doing that, and it feels fun, but it can get a little bit like repetitive after a while. But at the same time, it doesn't really suffer too much from that. But another problem with the gameplay is that the lack of choice. Now you do have plenty of choices in the sense that you get to choose not to do a mission, but I would have liked to be able to talk to these people. Like when they're asking me to do a mission, I'd like to be able to actually talk. Like let's just use KOTOR. KOTOR. Let's use KOTOR options. If those of you who play Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, when you talk to people, you didn't just go yes or no. They had like 4 or 5 options, and they all had like full sentences, like you can answer in a certain way. In this game, it's just, hey, help me? Yes, no. This game, people are like, so what do you think? Yes, no. That's all it is. It's not like anything else. So I would have liked the ability to answer or have full-blown conversations with certain survivors. I realize once again that suffers from the fact that any survivor could be anything. But I would have liked the fact that like Ed was Marcus's best friend. Yet during the game, Marcus will treat Ed like anybody else after he joins the group and becomes a playable character because they can't give them like a relationship even with Lily's brother. After he becomes a playable character, she treats him like anybody else in the group, and I'm like, that's your brother, Lily. You're not gonna treat him any different. It's like it's kind of failed, but at the same time, it's not too big of a deal. It just would have been a good death for survivors to actually recognize each other rather than like Lily always just saying, hey you, or you, and blah blah. Like, even if you're Jacob, it's like, hey you. I mean, well, I haven't played Jacob. I don't know that for sure, but I'm assuming because she says "Hey you" to everybody. But other than that, this game's pretty solid, both story wise and gameplay wise. Other than a few minor quirks. What I also didn't like was the fact that they said that they would make co-op if the game was popular. The game sold over 1 million. Okay, so that's called popular, especially for an indie game and a downloadable title. Yet there is still no co-op because they answered later it wouldn't be possible basically because they said it would be too hard to get it where both players are recognized by the AI component and stuff. This game would have been greatness with co-op. Okay, this game feels like it's begging for co-op, like it's just asking the directors, "Give me co-op." That's what this game feels like. But other than that, this game is pretty good. My conclusion would be that if you like survival games, if you like games where you're given where you don't have to actually be one character and given a main story on him, where you have all these different stories that collide, then this is a game for you. If you have an extra 1,600 Microsoft points, or well, they're not points anymore, so you have an extra $20 lying around for either Steam or Microsoft, then you guys purchase this game. This game is pretty good. If I was to give it a score, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Mostly because the storyline to me still suffers from the fact that you can be anybody, so they couldn't give anybody a proper story because you can be anybody, basically. Other than that, this gameplay is good. Thank you for watching this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and God bless.